All right, let's get this party started. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us on our final day of Black and Data Week. We have an amazing panel with superstars in the data game. And I'm talking about our panelists, one in particular, Dr. Marshall, but okay. At any rate, I want to thank our panelists for joining me today. We are really looking forward to sharing our tips and tricks, lessons learned, motivations for why we decided to be data entrepreneurs. I personally think this is something that Black folks have always done. I talked the other day about Ray Ray taking Big Mama back and forth from church. That sounds like a drive service business, I'm just saying. So there are many ways that we're always involved with business. We just don't recognize it as such. And so what we're hoping to bring to you today are some tips that you can use to turn whatever things you're doing relating to data into a side gig for yourself, or a book, Dr. Marshall's book. I'm gonna let her plug that. So with that said, I am Kimberly Deas. I am the co-founder of BlackTIDES. I am also the lead informaticist with the group, and I also help with curating our social media, so little Twitter, little LinkedIn. And I'm going to go around the room and have everyone introduce themselves. Just a little bit about my background. I have degrees in chemistry, finishing a PhD in informatics. I've been in the informatics game about 11 years. I've been a business owner for 10 years. This is my 10th year anniversary coming up in July. I am what they call an accidental entrepreneur, and I'll talk a little bit more about that as we go around the room. But first, I want to introduce our panelists. We have Dr. Brandeis Marshall. We have Dr. Michele Josey, who presented early this week. If you get a chance, please listen to her presentation. It was all of that and a bag of chips. Do y'all still say that? Y'all probably don't. Anyway, I'm gonna use it anyway. I'm old, what can I say? We have Kelly Hopkins, we have Jahmar, Gale, and Sia is our operations manager. She's gonna help us in the background, keep all the, miscreants out. Hopefully they won't try to, barge into our wonderful presentation here. So I'm going to go around the room based on kind of who I see, again, starting with the illustrious Dr. Marshall, who was one of the original founding members of BlackTIDES, I should mention. Dr. Marshall, you have the microphone.
Awesome. Well, I do not want to spend a whole lot of time talking because I want to get into the money-making moves that we're going to talk about today. So yes, I'm Dr. Brandeis Marshall. I do a whole bunch of stuff. Faculty, founder, I lead Black Women in Data. I have been engaging in this group for a couple of years, promoting all of the wonderful things that the group does. Thank you, Kimberly, for inviting me to this. This is actually awesome. Yeah, I have a book called Data Conscience. Please pick it up, Amazon or not Amazon, because you don't want to be part of that engine. Come to Black Women in Data Summit. It's September 23rd and 24th, 2023 here in Atlanta. And yeah, I'm just trying to make sure that all of us get our coin and we do not do any more unpaid work. So side hustling, not hustling, consulting, and all those other good things. So I am excited for this panel. Can't wait to hear from everybody else. But yeah, just Google me, y'all. Just go on the interwebs and Google me and follow me on all the platforms, except for Muskie's Twitter, because I ain't really on that no more. All right. Go back to you, Kimberly.
Thank you. We can talk about that. Yes, because I'll tell y'all a little something that happened with that a little bit later. At any rate, now we want to Kelly Hopkins, who's been a friend of BlackTIDES from the beginning. Please introduce yourself.
Thank you so much, Kim. Well, I don't love having to go after the Dr. Marshall, the amazing leader, but thanks so much for Kim and BlackTIDES for having me. This has been awesome. My name is Kelly Hopkins. I've been on kind of a grand tour of the data industry, but I generally call myself a data consultant. I've done, a Big Four consulting. I've done government consulting, and like you, I'm an accidental entrepreneur. I just recently started my own data consulting company last fall, and for me, it really just came out of the desire to just have something on my own that can't be taken away from me at the whim of an investor or a boss. And so I'm just trying to learn as much as I can and get some financial freedom for myself, as well as teach others how to gain that financial freedom. So I really appreciate being in community with all of you here on the panel, and really looking forward to having a great conversation.
Thank you, Kelly. Thank you. So now we want to introduce Jahmar Gale, who is also a friend of BlackTIDES.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jahmar. I'm actually new to the data profession, just landed my role in January this year, actually. But I started the All About the Data community about a year ago now, and also about to start a consulting firm for business intelligence as well. So that's currently what I'm working on now. Still a little new, compared to the top dogs on here, but I'm here to learn and also give out what I learned as well. So.
Thank you, Jahmar. And finally, Dr. Josey.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Dr. Michele Josey, and I am the Chief Data Scientist of my business, which is Mogul Beginnings Data Consulting. And much like Kelly, I started this in the fall of last year. I was already an entrepreneur, but I took a turn because I'm like, what I was doing before, I was like, I mean, it's good, but, I was like, nah. And I recognized that data was something I was naturally good at. And being in the business space, I saw the need, especially for smaller business owners, especially Black and brown business owners, not understanding the power that data has. So I was like, you know what, let me step into this gap and fill this need. So I'm bringing in some techniques that I've learned in industry to business owners so they can start to harness that same power that large corporations have been using for years.
Alrighty, fantastic. Okay, so we're going to get right down into it. I think the first question, because thanks to ChatGPT, use it, y'all, use it. Well, okay, but be mindful of using it, okay? Dr. Marshall, I'm sure, will say, well, hold up, not so fast, not so fast. At any rate, so got a list of questions here. And I think the one I want to start with first, because we kind of touched on it when we did our introductions. What was the motivating factor that led you to start your business? And I think I will go first on this one. So I talked about being an accidental entrepreneur. So what had happened was I moved to Texas to study with a world-renowned informaticist. I mean, if you look at anything in my field, especially in the healthcare space, his name is on it. And so I moved to Texas. My daughter in the senior year of high school. Now, I did get her permission. Let me just say that, because no one moves in the senior year of high school. But I think at the point that we left, she was just ready for a new start. I was ready for a new start. And so we moved to Texas. And I get there and I blow it out the water. 4.0 first year, blow out my, all of my research rotations that you do for a PhD. And I got along great with the students. But the faculty, now remember, I'm older. So now I'm the same age or a little older than some of the faculty. And let me just say this. I mistakenly thought that if I outwork everybody around me, outperform everybody around me, I'm going to be received. What I actually did was I got a lot of hate, like hate beyond anything I'd ever experienced. And so just for context, a lot of people that are in this tech informatics space are minorities, but they're not Black. Okay, so I go into a group where it's all minority and I'm the only Black person in the room. I think there was one white person in the group. So I don't know what kind of triple minority, quadruple minority, whatever you want to call it. I don't care. I'm just there to get the work done, to learn what I need to learn. But outperforming the postdocs, outperforming the computer and doing my NLP runs didn't go over as well as I thought it would. Needless to say, I was out of there after about a year, not even a year. So I needed to come up with something to do. And I was so distraught by it. Like, I was just like, what am I packed up my life to come here. And this is what happens after less than a year. So I had always, been in education. I'd been a STEM teacher way back in the day. And I love working with students. Throughout my entire life, I've always worked with students. And apparently, according to one of my cousins, I've been teaching since I was 7 years old. She wanted to play with dolls. I wanted to teach her something out of a math book, she said. I don't know. I can't confirm if that's true or not. I don't remember that. But anyway, So I'm in Texas. I have no job because I found out literally a week before my fellowship ended that they were not funding my fellowship. And as a lot of you know, fellowship is support, is income. So I'm like, what am I going to do? So I started tutoring. I started working with a tutoring organization. And I looked at that 60% cut they were getting and I said, okay, right, that's a lot. They were getting 60%. So I continued to tutor. So after, I guess, about a year after, literally a year to the day, I just realized this, a year to the day, literally just realized this, that my fellowship wasn't renewed. I started my business July 31st, 2013, okay? And at the time, it was mostly focused on tutoring. So I had spent a little time taking medical school courses because I had planned to be a physician when I was at Georgetown. So I was able to tutor a lot of different things. And there is a high demand for tutoring, MCAT, you know, all the things related to medical school. So I was actually making pretty good money, you know, but still I knew that wasn't ultimately what I wanted to do. It was the impetus of that. The impetus for me starting the business was that 60% cut that the tutoring company was getting for me having, you know, working for them, right? That was the impetus for me starting my business. So that's when I talk about being an accidental entrepreneur. I got started by accident because I didn't want to be giving up 60%. And that's just a short story. Now I'm doing more along the lines of consulting literally about data science and helping organizations, mostly nonprofits, get their act together as it relates to data. But originally I started out as a tutor, but I had consulting in the title of my business. So that's kind of how I was able to pivot without having to necessarily worry about a name change for my business. So that's my story about how I became an entrepreneur. Very simple. Jahmar, your story is really interesting because like I said, we've kind of watched you in the background. Jahmar has done something that I ain't never seen before. So Jahmar, you want to take the floor and tell us about how you were able to do what you were able to do and mostly what your motivation was?
Yeah, so, well, it was definitely unplanned for sure. So I was getting into the data space in like 2021. I was first like looking into it and just like looking at the courses and stuff to take and came across, you know, Discord. And funny story is I never really liked Discord. I joined Discords prior to even making my own. I never really liked them. But I was like, I wanted to start a group. It was just supposed to be a small study group, you know, of just me and a couple of people to kind of hold myself accountable because I kept starting the Google course and stopping it and delaying. So I was like, let me get some study buddies so that way we can hold each other accountable. And it started out that way. And then just, you know, went from like 50 people to 300 to 500 to 1,000. And then it just so much, you know, so much people started joining and I was like, all right, now I got to figure out what to do with this because I wasn't expecting all these people to join. And so, you know, it kind of turned into a community of helping other data professionals, you know, whether they were already established or trying to come in, and started hosting like events, like SQL. We had SQL Saturdays, we had a podcast, we had different things like that to, you know, basically turn it into this place where you can not only come and get resources, but you can also, you know, study live with us and learn together. So that's kind of how it started out. And like I said earlier, now I'm trying to branch more so into the consulting space and, you know, actually use the skills that I created or that I learned, I should say. But yeah, the community is, like I said, it actually is grown significantly a lot. I haven't done much this year as I did last year, but yeah, it was interesting growing it. I learned a lot, you know, as far as working with multiple teams, working with multiple people, and you know, seeing the impact that it has had in the data space was not something that I expected or, you know, thought would happen. But it was fun, you know, it was definitely fun.
Thank you, Jahmar. Okay, let's see, Dr. Marshall, tell us how you got your start. Motivations?
My motivation was professional abuse. So not workplace trauma. I'm talking about professional abuse. And I actually had a grant with a project that was pretty well received, but there was co-option involved, and attempts of co-option. And I decided, you know what, my IP is obviously very valuable. So let me just create this little separate appendage that I can just encase all of that IP into one area. And then they can't touch that. That's the short story. If you want the longer story, we got to be off record. Because when I say the story, I drop names.
See, and when I talk about informatics in Houston, I'm indirectly dropping names.
Yeah.
You know, it is what it, but I feel you on that.
Yeah. Yeah. There's names, and there's places, and there's situations. And some of them are ongoing. Yeah. Even 5 years later. So I started in 2018. Yes, Nick, meeting after the meeting. Yes. So I just decided that I wasn't going to put all of my eggs into one basket, which is the employeeship. I was going to move into creating my own and building my own. And what does that look like? Because I was tired of being overlooked when I had the idea. And then all of a sudden when I execute it, because we show up and we execute flawlessly, I was tired of when I executed, all of a sudden people all of a sudden knew my name and knew my email and wanted to call me and text me. And I was just like, oh, so y'all fakerators, I'm just going to go ahead and make y'all pay for my ish. And yes, you got to pay me for that. And yes, you need to get on a call with me and book a call with me, because I was just tired of all of the people trying to slide in my email and act like they were brand new. But I think all of us can relate.
Well, you bring up a really interesting point, right? So, Black women, we're the most educated. Mm-hmm. Tip my hat, okay?
Yeah.
We are also, I think I read that we're more likely to have businesses as well.
Yes, we are.
What people don't understand is we do businesses because we're trying to survive and thrive.
Right.
And create environments where we can survive, not just survive, but thrive as well, right? It's about the thriving. Even now, like as I think about how I want to build my business in the future as I'm wrapping up my PhD, my motivation, honestly, is not because I want to, be an entrepreneur. I've never even gave it a thought. It's because I realize that if I want the titles that I want, in other words, I don't want to depend on anybody to promote me to what I already am. Thank you very much. Yes, I said it. And yes, I know this is being recorded. And if you hear me, I didn't stutter.
No, she didn't.
Also about creating opportunities. I'm not sitting around waiting on opportunities. And I'm kind of in some situations now where I had to get creative about some opportunities. There's some things that I wanted to do, because one of the things that's been a challenge for me personally, like in the workspace, is what I know how to do and what you think I know how to do have never been the same.
Facts.
And that's just what it is. So if I have an idea for something that you want to steal and let somebody else get credit for, I'm just getting all ugly up in this presentation up in here. That's fine. Because one thing, I got plenty of ideas. And I have plenty of opportunities to collaborate with people who want to give me credit for my ideas.
Right. It's not only credit, though, Kimberly. It is compensation.
Oh, no, the compensation goes without saying.
Yeah, without saying. But understand that when it comes to certain organizations, of course, I'm being cloak and dagger about this, certain organizations that happen to be Black-led, sometimes they just want to take from Black women. I know we don't have enough time to talk about all that, but just be clear that there are plenty of people out there that are just trying to take from Black women in their ideas.
That's right.
And not trying to give Black women the credit when the Black woman was the one who had the idea, the one who went out and got the money, the one who executed and implemented the idea, and then all of a sudden want to keep her as a workhorse because the systems weren't designed for us in mind. In fact, all that the US system is designed for Black women is for us to bear children and take care of other people's children. So we're supposed to be overworked, underpaid, or not paid. And so coming strong with degrees already threatens the status quo. And then coming through with the ideas and then the execution, they don't know what to do with us. So they always are trying to condition us to shrink, trying to condition us to not be powerful, try to condition us to sit on the sidelines. And when we come out and be ourselves, they're just like, oh, snap, we need to muscle this, we need to mute this. And I'm the opposite. I'm team share your authentic self. I'm team say the things that they don't want to hear. I'm team, are they gonna retaliate? Let's go. I'm a Virgo. I'll get petty. Oh, let's go. Let's go.
And I'm like,
let's get it. Let's get it going.
Virgos, so let me ensure you of that.
Because Virgos will do two things. They will be petty. They will be petty, and they will document the hell out of you. So they will come with receipts. Okay. So let's go, people. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of things that being an entrepreneur provides you this like empowerment, and then you do not rely on the employer anymore because you got your own ish. Mm-hmm. What happens in the workplace and their microaggressions, they're not micro, the aggressions, you'd be like, oh, okay. And then you'd be like, I got a 5,000 consulting thing I gotta finish up. Y'all little project situation, whatever. Okay, boo, bye. And you go and do your work. Mm-hmm. Anyway, let me not take over the conversation. We still got to hear from Kelly and Michele.
let me move on to Kelly. Inspirations. I know Kelly. So Kelly and I used to work together. Whew, so I know Kelly got a testimony and a story. I was like, Kelly went from this situation to business. Like, Kelly is, I love Kelly. I mean, Kelly.
I love you too.
Kelly is just, let me tell you, let me just say this a little side before Kelly get in her thing. There aren't many places where I have been where I could depend on, and I'm just keeping this really real, okay? Where I can depend on people who have faces like mine that have my back. I'm just gonna go straight there. And I was talking to, even when they're there, I can't always depend on them. But let me just really quickly say, I'm a member of an organization called the Black Scientists Organization at the company I currently work for. I love y'all, bless y'all, thank y'all. Y'all are part of my foundation for why I'm still there, okay? So there are people out there that will have your back, but there have been many times where they haven't. Kelly's just one of those people, I could just tear up talking about Kelly. I don't know. Okay, Kelly, let me go before I start tearing up. Go ahead, Kelly.
You make me cry. No, but thank you so much, Kim. And I think what Dr. Marshall said a few minutes ago, just about Black women going through the corporate world, you either can be treated as a commodity or as a scapegoat, and if you don't have kind of a way out of that or kind of your own resources, then you're really going to kind of be eaten up by kind of whatever corporate mechanism is out there. And when thinking about my own kind of accidental entrepreneurial journey, like my dad's always been very entrepreneurial and kind of had that like bug, but I've tried to kind of fight it because I've always been a very risk averse person. But kind of since entering the corporate world and having the pandemic first hit, like when I was not too far into my career, and seeing kind of the wave of layoffs and the wave of not really layoffs, but their performance layoffs going on and hitting so many people around me with kind of no rhyme or reason, it really kind of gave me that first idea of having something that, can be taken away from you, having another stream of income that you can rely on, because our main jobs aren't as reliable anymore. I think how many facets of our livelihood really depend on having a job, and like you said, putting all your eggs into one basket is really kind of the more risky move in a situation than entrepreneurship is. And so, but I thought that wasn't ready yet. I'm 2.5 years into my career. I'm not an expert in anything. I don't really, not that common. So let me just kind of put this dream on like the back burner or like the vision board, I would say, and just try to get there with my skills. And so I've had a lot of really good opportunities to work in, private sector, public sector, consulting, the startup world. And right before I started, I was, again, kind of situation that Kimberly was talking about. I was, dealing with Pet the Threat, Glass Cliff, whatever you want to call it. But I was kind of in the process of kind of being shoehorned out of my position. And actually, at the very end of it was when I went to Dr. Marshall's Black Women in Deas Summit. It was incredible. People I met, things I learned, and Dr. Marshall really stressed that kind of you have all the ingredients that you need to achieve your dream, no matter what kind of they say you are, and you have more value than they say you have. So just kind of knowing your worth, knowing that you can monetize your skills. And I was really kind of on fire after that summit. And I had a month left in my job, and sorry, I'm hearing a little bit of echo. Sorry, I had a month left in my job, and I really inspired me to kind of really ask for more severance than I was going to really receive at that time. And after sending that email, I sent like before I boarded my flight, and right before I boarded, I got an email saying, not only we're not giving you any severance, but your last day is today. We're firing you 2 weeks early. And just that was that. No discussion, no way, no one to talk to. And that really just even solidified the lessons that Dr. Marshall taught us that weekend. I really need to kind of advocate for myself and really do this for myself, because no one is really going to be there for me but myself. And yeah, so I was really thing for me. I think I launched it like the 2 weeks after, just put my plan together, like what do I want to do, what do I want to start with. I definitely want to start very small and kind of learn along the way. It's definitely going to be something that I grow as I learn, as I grow as person. And I just think Marshall, Kim, Sia, Jahmar, there's been people I've met along the way that really kind of affirmed me when no one else would, and support me when no one else was there. So I just definitely want to keep giving back, keep lifting up people as I climb, and just, again, being part of the tech community, but specifically the Black tech community and also the Black data community. It's just been an incredible experience. So I'm enjoying my journey so far. Oh, I think you're on mute, Kim. Sorry.
Sorry about that. Yeah, Kelly is a gem. And like I said, there are very few people that'll be in a position of power that will actually really actively engage and help you. And I'm sorry, that's just kind of what I've noticed since I've been in data. I love the data thing, but that's why it's really important to have these conversations, and why I'm so excited that we're having this panel, that we have Black and Data Week. And now I want to turn it over to Dr. Josey. Like I said, she did her presentation. We had a lot of great feedback. I said, oh, could you join our entrepreneur panel? You are an entrepreneur. Please come back and join us. And she graciously accepted. Thank you, Dr. Josey. You have the floor to share your story about your inspiration and about, what your motivations were for starting a business.
Awesome. So honestly, I did not think I was going to be an entrepreneur. I started out in the classroom, and then I switched over to focus on my degree, which was statistics, and then found myself in an epidemiology program. But I did remember saying one day, and it's like, how you say something to yourself, you forget. I was like, oh, I'll work in industry for a little bit, and then I'll be a consultant. But it was like, once you start working and, you kind of just handling business in the flow of life, you kind of forget some of those things you say. So I'm just working, thinking I'm just going to move up the ladder. We have like one-on-ones with I still work my 9 to 5. It's probably be the last year, but it is on record. And we have these conversations every month about like, where do you want to be? Like as far as moving from the company, leadership. And I was always be thinking, like, more recently, I was just like, I don't see myself here. Like, because I can't say that like that. But yeah, I just kind of thought I was going to move from the company and be successful that way. And that was fine with me. But in late 2019, I don't know, I just kind of felt this nudge for entrepreneurship. And I was like, okay, Lord, what am I supposed to do? Like, I don't know what that is. And I remember the co-pastor of my church, she said, it's probably going to be something that comes easy to you, but that's hard for other people. I mean, like, I'm good at multiple things, y'all. So I'm like, okay, so the first thing that I tried was being a financial coach. And I've always cared about generational wealth, always cared about just breaking that generational curse of poverty in my family. So that, you know, made perfect sense. I tried it out. It was cool. I did, you know, impact some people's lives and, you know, all that good stuff. But I was like, that's what I was telling earlier, like this, I think that's it. So I was like, okay, what? I talking to other people about what I'm good at, what I do. And they were like, okay, you need to stop doing that financial coach and focus on this because businesses need you like today. And I was like, oh, I didn't realize there was such a gap. And so the more I thought about it, the more I talked to different people, different business owners, I'm like, oh, wow, like y'all literally have no idea that what's going on. Y'all have no idea about like techniques that large businesses are using to stay in business and to kind of just stay in the face of their customers. So I was like, okay, this is a gap that I could feel. I had no idea that y'all existed. Okay. So I'm really glad I got connected to y'all. So I kind of felt like, even though I had a business mentorship program that I was in, like I was like the only data person. And so I was like the go-to person that people would talk to, but I didn't really have a community of people around me to kind of just listen to, glean from, share, talk about the latest things that are happening in the data world. So I'm really glad that, I don't know, I really don't remember who recommended me to y'all or who told me to connect with y'all, but I'm really glad I did. So this journey has been, it's fairly new, even though like I've been in the data world for quite some time. The entrepreneurship version of it is fairly new, but it's very exciting because I have to do a lot of education around what I do and how I can help business owners. And yeah, like, so when I'm listening to them talk now, it's like I'm listening to myself talk because I'm in their head now when I'm talking about how important it is to measure your data, to measure your metrics, like not just be doing stuff all willy-nilly, but actually take into consideration like what's real versus what's in your head or what's in your heart. Because, you know, we get driven by emotion sometimes. So it's been a fun journey so far. And I did want to touch one thing up. Everyone talked about entrepreneurship as far as like having your own, not being tied down to the whim of someone else. And for me, entrepreneurship is a form of generational wealth. It's the way that you can establish wealth for your own family. So I've never left that generational wealth focus. This is just one way to get it. Like I have other streams as well that I do, but this is kind of like that one that gets that momentum going. So you can get that, you know, your cash flow going, impact lives at the same time, but get your cash flow going so you can really set some things up and set your family up in a way that you'll be proud of. You're on mute again, Kimberly.
You see my mouth talking. Okay, so we're going to take a brief interlude. But before, I want to take a question. Kofi has a question. He's also a member of BlackTIDES and a friend of BlackTIDES. Kofi, you want to unmute yourself and ask your question?
Hello, can you hear me? Actually, I was just trying to clap, and then I realized I did the hand up, but I questions come all the time. So I'm hearing from everyone there's a pivot, right? And as you know, I love creativity. So would you say that the entrepreneurship helps you be creative in how you approach data? Because what I'm hearing from all five is that there was a moment where, quote unquote, you looked at the data and realized that, nah, this wasn't for me, or this had to change. So what would you say was a creative, analytical approach you did to pivot for us? So I hope that was a good question.
I can jump in on that one. So yes, to me, I mean, I always have a creative part. I am more logical than creative, but it's in there. Like I love to sing and dance and all that good stuff. But one way that I have allowed creativity to flow is I started writing recently. It's a lady that I'm connected to in my business community, and I do two things for her network. She has a radio station and a just kind of a streaming network. Is I started writing in her magazine, and it's allowed me to just maybe open up some doors I thought were closed, or just really expressing myself. but it's all under the lenses of the column is called Numbers Don't Lie. And that's the name of my podcast on her network and the articles that I write from. And it's always points us back to using data to drive our decision making. So in that realm, it sounds very strange, but I always just make it's literally a non-technical show and article, but it's always pointing us back to let's look at what's real. So it's been allowed me to just tap into different things. I'm like, who would have thought data, like all month it was about data and love? Who would have thought those two words would go together? But it's just allowed me to just do something different, try something different to reach your audience, to make them really understand that data is just information that we take in from everywhere. And it's up to you to make a decision of what you want to do with it. So it's definitely allowed me to tap into creativity.
Yeah, interesting you say that. So for me, my story is kind of opposite. So I was actually in digital marketing so long story short, I actually was in entertainment. I came up in the entertainment industry. I did entertainment for like 10 years. And from entertainment, I actually learned that I was good at marketing. So I was doing digital marketing and, kind of ran certain businesses in my past. Like I did the old school print shop business where I used to print shirts and do the graphics and business cards and things like that. And so having that entrepreneurial mindset and the digital marketing, like tapping into the data world more kind of helped me to make more sense of the creative side that I already have, because I was never like deep into data like that. I was dealing with it, but not in the aspect of consciously. Now I know, like, actually going deeper into it. So yeah, I would say for me is coming in from the creative side and now getting more on the technical side and, still trying to understand the technical side. But having that background in entrepreneurship did kind of help me even like know what I'm looking for in data and helping businesses, see what's valuable and, how they can increase revenue or automate processes and things like that.
I think one thing that was clear about what Jahmar was able to do in a year was that he had marketing on fleek. Clearly had that together. And there is nothing wrong with that. We have been celebrating that. And you're a prime example of when opportunity meets motivation, meets skill set, you did the damn thing, okay? All righty, so now we're gonna do a little brief interlude. And since Dr. Marshall suggested you can't touch this, and that's kind of the attitude we're going to go with that. We're going to have a few minutes and you can't touch this. Grab some water, take a bathroom break if you need to. We will be back in a few minutes. Thank you, everybody. See you shortly. All right, everybody. We're going to move on to our next question. Thank you. We have Black Women in Artificial Intelligence in the house. I actually have a Black Women in Artificial Intelligence t-shirt that I posted some months ago, I guess. So definitely want to stay involved with that group. Artificial intelligence is everywhere, obviously. ChatGPT, which, like I said, like a lot of tools, it really depends on how you use it. We don't really have to make this about ChatGPT, but I do want to ask a question about keeping up with latest technologies, anything exciting on the horizon that any of you think that not just in general in data, but that will be useful for you with your business. Like I said, for me, ChatGPT saves me a lot of time troubleshooting code, which I love. Like I said, I was able to get a couple more questions and, like for example, I put in questions to ask about Black data entrepreneurship. And of course, the questions were quite lacking about things that apply to us, which makes sense because we all have an understanding that the algorithms were not designed about us. And that's just what it is. So for me, I do work in chemical informatics and I use artificial intelligence, machine learning to make predictions about structures of substances that are important parts of chemical reactions that unfortunately, when they show up in our drugs, can cause diseases like cancer. So that's a positive way that, artificial intelligence can be used. And one of my favorite tools as we talk about, current and future technologies that are helpful, not just, for day-to-day work, but also as a consultant for my business. So just want to go around the room. Any interesting technology you want to talk about? How do you stay, abreast of technology? Because one of the things that's really difficult for me is, I get this morning LinkedIn list of things that are always new, and you just can't keep up with all of it, right? So I have this little notebook that first thing in the morning, I start writing some little things down. I want to make sure, I stay on top of this. And then I realize I can't do with so much, right? So that challenge, there's so much technology that it can be really overwhelming. So going around the room, how do you stay abreast of new technologies? Are there any that you're concerned about right now? I know Dr. Marshall has the answer for that. Again, how do you stay abreast of everything that's going on? You can't do it all. So how do you do that? Dr. Marshall, you want to take the lead on this conversation?
I mean, I don't. I can't. There's too many things coming out every single day. So I don't. I really am focused in on what is the regulation, the compliance, what is the algorithmic harms, and what type of technologies are being used by the masses, and trying to raise concern if necessary about those. But as far as like new technologies, there's so many. And there's so many that fall by the wayside. So I do, make sure that I'm on different, newsletters and things like that to know what's happening within, bigger technologies like Snowflake and, of course, Data Robot and all the other technologies, right? But there's so many janky ones that come out that I don't want to spend the time to try to learn them just for them to go belly up, right? So I really wait to see what people are actually using first. So I always give it about 2 to 3 weeks, because that's about the cycle it takes for everyone to be, oh, this is just the newest, coolest thing, to wait a second, this actually doesn't do everything we thought it was supposed to do, to should we be using this thing? So I wait for the tech cycle to get about 3 weeks in before I really pay attention to a new tech. But I am a data engineer by Tech Jam. So I love anything that has to do with organizing data, modeling data. So I'm always interested in, what's going on with like MongoDB, what is happening inside of organizing data systems, because that's the infrastructure of our future. Everything is digital. So what is modeling that digital infrastructure, and all the applications on top of it is like, okay, that's just algorithms. That's just algorithms that can be manipulated. So that's what I do. But yeah, I have a lot to say about ChatGap and GitHub Copilot. I call it Copi because it's copy. Okay. So I have some things to say about that, but I will let that one go.
This is about focus, because one of the things that I realized, I've gone from job to job to job. I think I mentioned, or I posted on LinkedIn that I was laid off 4 years in a row. And every job needed a different tool. So I went from SAS to Python to R to Tableau, right? And you end up being a jack of all trades, a Jackie of all trades, not mastering anything. And so one of the things that I realized when I'm looking at new things coming in, I can't, right now it's focused in Python, period, okay? That I decided this would be the year Python. So as much as I love R, and unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, I analyzed my data for my dissertation in R, but all the analysis is done, so thank goodness for that. I can't just, I see something cool come through in R, I just can't jump on that because I need to focus. So that's actually a really excellent point to mention, Dr. Marshall. When you're talking about new technologies, you kind of got to find something to focus on. That's really helpful. Dr. Josey, you want to make a comment about new technologies? How do you stay abreast of everything? What's your idea about how do you keep up?
Yeah, I think Brandeis said something earlier about staying on like the different lists to kind of see what's coming out. So I think it was something came this, I was like, oh, I think I'll look into this a little later. So yeah, I definitely try to see what's coming out, what's up, because it's like you said, it's always something, especially with all these AI tools. It's AI this, AI video, AI something. And I do like the AI tools. I use it for the same thing you do, Kimberly. I need some questions. I think I had it. I asked it to write I use it called Hello Scribe. I got it from AppSumo, and AppSumo actually featured me in their email list for Black History Month. But I got something called Hello Scribe, and it does the same thing as far as like, you know, you can ask it anything and it gives you stuff. I told it to write me a theme song for my podcast. Like, you can ask anything, but my focus is mainly on what I need for my customers, which is like data warehouse space, how to organize it, and being able to do different models quickly. And so one benefit of still working my 9 to 5 is I kind of like, I still get to kind of stay on the cutting edge of what's coming out, because we have to be on the cutting edge of what's coming out. So like they have, we use IBM for a lot of our tools. So we use R heavily, and I'm, you know, just getting into Python last year and more this year. But all those tools can be hosted in like that virtual kind of space that it has. And they have like an auto AI where it can run multiple models for you. Like, you just give it the data set, and then you don't have to like, I'm like, oh my God, I don't have to like individually code this stuff anymore. So things like that to make my job. So, yeah, I'm staying abreast of things like that.
And you know what, you bring up something, you know, right? So there's this thing now where I feel like a lot of people, that software engineers, are scared that, you know, their jobs are going to lose their jobs or whatever because of AI, all this other stuff. The thing that I always say is, it's one thing to know how to code. That's great. And if you get your code because you did 90% of it using Stack Overflow or Chat, whatever you're using, but do you know what the data means? Mm-hmm. Here's the thing I think gets lost with a lot of people. Coding is great. That's wonderful. But do you know what it means? And do you know what the business impact is, right? So I think that sometimes people kind of get that confused. That's why I'm not worried about automation at this point, right? Maybe not in my lifetime, because I still feel like there's always going to need that human nuance to interpret what it means. And because I work in a healthcare space, that's especially true, right? But I digress. Let's move on.
Can I touch on that really quickly? So I do a weekly Ask a Data Scientist segment on IG Live. And that question came up, like, are you nervous about, you know, your job, pretty much your job security, because all these tools coming out? And I'm like, my avatar are businesses that are doing at least $500,000 and above. Do you think any of them about to have time to try to learn something? Like, it's something new and shiny. Like, they're like, just do it, just get it done. So I work for get it done people, and that kind of stuff makes my job easier. And maybe they will eventually hire somebody on their team. Right now, it's still new enough where, listen, let me go ahead and get my coins while I can, and then I got some other things I can do later. But it's a lot of time, like you said, and then being able to know what to do with it. Like, no, I'm not worried.
Kelly, you want to share any concerns about all this latest technology? What do you do to stay on top of new things coming out?
Yeah. Again, I've kind of faced this struggle, kind of, you know, going up in my career. You know, they tell you to follow, you know, careers on LinkedIn, go to all the conferences, read the articles, and especially now at this current point, as kind of an entry level person trying to get into the field, there's so much going on. And a lot of it is actually fueled by like companies pushing their own tools rather than what's actually the best practice in the industry. So you see, oh, this company says, oh, this is the best tool, but over here, like, you know, this is the best tool. So I think a lot of people are finding out is that really just knowing your fundamentals and knowing what the fundamental like tools and topics are behind those tools, like basic kind of, you know, database operations, you know, basic statistical learning, having that foundation will let you kind of cut through all smoke and mirrors of evaluating a new tool. You can see what it actually does, how it fits into the broader data or tech landscape, and what you can really do with that product. So it'll help you kind of have more of a compass on kind of, you know, navigating what's useful to learn, what's not as useful to learn. And I'm still in this boat. I still try to learn everything, and I fail to do so because I think some of these cool things are going on. I still like to get more into kind of the Web3 space now that all of the NFT hype is kind of burned off a little bit, looking at the actual use cases. But again, I really just like all of the tools that are making like models more accessible and more auditable for bias, and really allowing people to kind of build platforms off of those tools. And so I think someone said that if you're an AI company that just has a thin layer on top of ChatGPT, you're not really an AI company. But with these, even if you take AI out of it, all these tools that are allowing you to kind of access greater technology in a more user-friendly way, allow you to just go right to using those as tools to build out a solution. I think they'll enable a lot more entrepreneurs, a lot more builders to really look at the problems in their lives and their communities and really allow them to kind of build those solutions fast. So that's really, I'm really excited about versus any kind of flashy new technology.
Right. Okay, so I think now I want to move on to a question about challenges. So we kind of touched on a little bit the challenges that we've had working in spaces that quite frankly weren't designed for our success. I'm just putting the finest point I can on it. What are some of the challenges you have as an entrepreneur? What do you see in the future for yourself? Let's see. Jahmar, do you want to talk about some challenges being an entrepreneur?
Yeah, so some challenges I faced in the past. So I would say I had a digital marketing agency that I was running for about 6 months, and I scaled it up too fast, and it actually ended up, because I scaled it up so fast, I didn't really have any delegation or anything like that. It's actually more than I can handle. So I kind of learned that having a system and process and like even an onboarding process for your clients is a very essential, so that way you don't get burnt out as far as if you do scale up faster than you presume, and also knowing how much clients you could even take on is also a thing as well, because you want to make sure that you're giving everyone good results. So those are some challenges I would say faces. Not really having a structure to the business before just stepping into it. So now, as I'm getting ready to start this consulting business, I'm actually learning about the structure of business, because not to boast, but to boast at the same time. Getting clients is not a thing for me. That's like easy. That's the easy part for me. Scaling business is always easy, but having the structure to it, to where I don't burn out and it's something that I can continue to do, that's the part that I personally have to learn right now. So
that's some good information there. So that's a lot about building a team around you that you need in order to build your business. And so, I've had a business for a long time, but part of the reason why it stayed where it is because I had competing priorities. And the number one was I needed to finish my PhD. And at some point, you just have to be realistic about what you can do all at the same time. And I'm perfectly okay being able to get my little tax write-offs for the last 10 years. I'm good on that right now. That's cool, right? And that's another big advantage, obviously, to having a business. I'm a sole proprietor. But the idea would be that, once I finished my PhD, I would be able to focus more on it, right? I have more time, because that's exactly what I was worried about, is burning out, right? Like that is, you don't want to get to a great position and then, have a stroke because you just did too much.
Yeah.
Questions about who do you bring on board with you and learning how to delegate. And see, this Dr. Marshall can probably relate as a Virgo. You kind of can be a little bit of a control freak, and you realize very quickly that you got to have good people you can trust on board, but then more importantly, you got to be willing to delegate to those people, to the point where now I was telling my daughter yesterday, I was like, I think when I finish my PhD, I'm going to hire a personal assistant just to kind of get started, because there's just a lot of little things that I just need help with, right? Like I just can't do it all. And it could be somebody in college, you pay them $30 an hour, they're happy as hell, right? Because that's good money when you're in college working your way through. So yeah, the point about mindful of how you scale up isn't one that's lost on me. And it's why I've kind of, like I said, held myself back. Like you said, in the situation where there's a lot of opportunity, you got to be mindful of how you navigate that. Kelly, you want to chime in on this?
Yeah, I definitely want to underscore what Jahmar said about the importance of having good systems and processes in place. Because when kind of starting a business, there's a lot of things you have to get good at before you can actually get to the thing that you're actually good at. So sales, marketing, customer acquisition, relationship building, those are all new skills to me that I'm still learning, trying to learn from other people about, and really starting a slow, kind of more sustainable way. And so I'm learning every day, as well as my core skill set as well, and just really trying to become more holistic consultant, so we can have a good successful business. But I've been lucky. I've had some good relationships. I've been able to take advantage of my first couple of projects, and again, looking forward to how I can bring other people on. How can be resource for other people and really just grow this in a sustainable way. So yeah, I look to you, Kim, Jahmar, Dr. Marshall, Dr. Josey. I just met you, but I'm going to start following you and just to see what you all are doing. Hope I can learn from the whole community here.
All right, let's see. Dr. Marshall, did you answer this question?
Sorry, I was dropping things in the chat because I'm all about what do you need to have.
This is where all the ideas go. So we about to write this down.
So let me go. I'm gonna do a little coaching right about now. So get your notebooks out. Glad this is being recorded. So I want to 100% agree with Jahmar on this about putting in systems. I think the very first thing that I did was create an LLC. So a separate entity. It was, a single member LLC, depending on the state that you live in. It could be very, very minimal. I'm in Georgia. It's $50 a year. So it's like nothing off no sweat off our brow in here in Georgia. Especially if you're in this data field, and then getting a bank account, a business bank account, not to commingle funds, because I'm all about making sure the coin is going to the right place. So getting that business bank account, getting that debit card, getting that credit card in the business name, those are things that I set up very first and foremost. Next thing that I did was actually on board to sign up for QuickBooks. And I know people want to use PayPal and Venmo and Cash App and all them other. No, when you are a business and you're dealing with businesses and you want to be a consultant for real and get those 5-figure checks and get that recurring payment, you got to be on QuickBooks. I'm sorry. Don't be trying to send no PDF invoice. Companies look at you like you crazy. You have to be attached to Stripe, making sure your business is attached to Stripe with that EIN number, because real money comes in when you have a business back end that is formed. All right, because you can get the $2,000, $3,000 checks from organization X for you to be on a panel. Those are easy. They'll send you a check, no problem. But when you want those businesses to give you that 5-figure check or that reoccurring check when you're on retainer, they want to see that you got it all together. So no Zelle, no Cash App, no Venmo, no Apple Pay. Don't be saying them words. Don't even be saying them words. You say them where people look at you like, oh, okay, they're not serious. And they will literally keep it moving. They will go on to the next person. I will tell you, I've gotten checks because I make payment easy. I will send you a QuickBook link. You can pay it via credit card, debit card, or bank transfer. Hallelujah. Get me my money. Put it in the bank. You don't got to send me a check. When people tell me they're going to send me a check, I'll be like, excuse me, no, you don't. Here you go. So that's first and foremost. And then I think it's really about onboarding help, right? Back to Jahmar's point, onboarding help. So about 2 years ago, I onboarded my first virtual assistant. And I dropped it in the chat. I started out using Chatterboss, and then I transitioned over to Elevated Assist. And I've been with Elevated Assist for the past year or so, I think. And so my VA is thebomb.com. You see my social media, it's because she got it popping. She's doing the social media. So she does 90% of it, for sure. Yes, Rose just said professional email. Yes, I did do Google Suites in order to get that professional email and get their own little stuff going. Just setting up those systems, you'll be so surprised on how just having those systems in place legitimize you, put you in a credibility arena that's so far beyond the PayPal realm. PayPal is great to start until you get some like recurring like income and stuff. But once you transition over to Bill, to QuickBooks, to FreshBooks, to some other type of books where you can account for how much you're spending, how much you're bringing in. You can track payments. You can track invoices. You can send invoices, can be reminded so people remember to pay you. Because trust and believe, some companies, their systems are net 45. And when it comes net 30 and you're like, where's my money? It automatically sends stuff out. So yeah, those systems on the back end are super important because yeah, getting clients isn't hard. It's not that difficult. You go out on social media, you say what you do, you keep telling people what you do, you show examples, what you do, you can always attract the clients. But it's hard in order to make sure that those clients are happy. And one way to make them happy is them being able to pay you easy. I've gotten so many compliments. What? That was easy. It wasn't this long process. Right? And then make sure that you get like, other thing that I think was really difficult for me was to accept the compliments of my clients, of like, me to like hear it and write it down so then I could say, this is what a client said that I did and I helped them with. So that's something that's hard for us to do sometimes as Black people because we're so not used to taking in the compliments and recording the compliments, but that has been a struggle for me. It's not really a business thing, it's more of a personal journey thing, but that's what being an entrepreneur is empowering yourself and learning yourself. Okay, I'm off my soapbox. Back to you, Kimberly.
Thank you. Thank you. No, like I said, I have my trusted notebook, and I just want to, this is a reminder to everyone, if you even think you want to have a business, get you a little notebook, something you can carry around. I have ideas in the oddest of places, right? I typically wake up and start writing things down, or I'm on the metro, or my daughter's out taking pictures and I have an idea. Get you a little notebook to keep track of all the things that just randomly come up in random moments, because you think you'll remember, you won't. So get a notebook like I'm doing right now, taking these notes from Dr. Marshall. Thank you very much, Dr. Marshall. Okay, so I think what I want to do right now, we have another entrepreneur on board, isn't part of the panel, but if Pierre doesn't mind me putting him on the spot, if you do, that's fine. But Pierre also has his own business. He is also a friend of BlackTIDES, and I just wanted to know if he wanted to chip in any thoughts. Just to remind you, we went over a couple of things, couple questions, some of the challenges with being an entrepreneur. What do you think about some of the latest technologies related to data? And what was that first one? How did you get started? What was your motivation? So if you want to give us a synopsis of that. And after you give that, we're going to take another break with some music. I don't know if anybody's noticed there's a theme about being a boss, being in control, being, money. That's going to be the whole musical thing for the day. So when Pierre is done, we're going to take a brief break and we might be in control at that point, but go ahead and take it away, Pierre.
Okay. Thank you for allowing me to join in. And hi, everybody. I apologize if I'm coming to you from a library as I speak, but fortunately we can talk on the second floor, so it's cool. Real quick, my name is Pierre Du Bois, founder of Zamana Analytics. Been in business now for almost 14 years. I actually started in Brooklyn, New York, but also I'm based now in Gary, Indiana. Gary, Indiana is my hometown. Please do not ask me to sing a Michael Jackson or Janet Jackson because we have to pay royalties for that. So every time. First of all, I love the panel because everybody here. What's cool about this is not only because I know people quite a bit. I can say hey. It's good to say hey to Dr. Marshall in particular, and Jahmar. I know we've talked quite a bit on Twitter a little bit. But that's also the point. We as a people, we're online quite a bit. It's allowed us to talk to each other and gain information in a way that really was not there for not only our parents and our parents' parents, but pretty much for all the generations before. So it gives us it gives us an advantage, but also a challenge. The advantage is being able to talk to each other. The fact that Dr. Marshall brought up about, first of all, I love the fact you brought up QuickBooks. Thank you for doing that. Really, really. And she's absolutely right. It is a little bit of all these little things add up, but unless you talk to each other and communicate to each other, it sometimes not everybody gets the message, and sometimes those things get lost. So I think it gives a benefit for us to connect with each other in a way that we couldn't do before, not having to physically migrate to be in the same space to kind of get the information. So like for Kimberly, for example, we've talked to each other through Twitter and through LinkedIn before, but have not seen each other face to face. But being able to communicate back and forth has made a big difference. I think always the challenge that we face now is, keeping those lines of communication open, working with each other. And for entrepreneurship, time back to this, that's really important, not only for learning about how to maintain your business, but also learning about technology. Again, another point that was brought up, Dr. Marshall brought this up too. Yes, we're going to get flowers like all the way through this quite a bit. But one of the things is the idea that, everyone brings up all these frameworks, but not every framework lasts out. And it does, if you're not careful, you can consume a lot of time on a particular framework or something that yeah, it sounds like you understand it, but it may not be what you're trying to do or even helping you in trying to build something. So it does become sort of, I think the one thing I would say is you do need to watch as you are building your skills up, also ask yourself hard questions on where things are going quite a bit. I'll share from my experience. My background, mechanical engineering. I was an engineer at Ford for 8 years. Went off to do my MBA. I had this big vision. I wanted to do a VC for, particularly for small Black-owned businesses. And I found that wasn't really the right way to go. Most VCs are looking at markets that not always are looking at us. And despite the fact that that's been developing over the last few years, since I did my MBA, which is now over 20 years old, it's still not in the markets where we are all the time. And that becomes a challenge, again, in networking and shifts the need a little bit. So what got me into the analytics part was working with a contractor that was started by my cousin, actually. She started in Huntsville, Alabama, had 1,500 people under her employ. And one of the challenges that came up was, how do we know that people are looking at our website, and how do we know that our marketing is drawing people to come contract with us? And at that time, Google Analytics was coming into play, and that turned out to be a major part of the idea for a business. And even though her business, she sold it before I started mine, it was a starting point that helped me to understand how to apply it. Fast forward to now, I also deal with R programming. In fact, I have 3 PhD students I'm tutoring right now R. So that's actually been kind of an interesting thing, and still kind of learning a little bit more Python these days, more than anything else. But a lot of times the focus on data, I think, has changed our focus on, don't get too caught up on the frameworks. Look a little bit about what you're trying to do and what you're trying to accomplish. And is this a benefit for the customers that you're serving? Because Kimberly had brought up a good point. You'll run into that technology quite a bit, but the needs change all the time. Quick things I can share with you also about entrepreneurship. And this is going to be from a perspective of somebody who's worked with small businesses as well as some large. Yeah, getting customers is easy to a point, but get the right customers at the very beginning. And what I mean by right customers are, if you know what your market is and you know who it is that you're trying to serve, that first customer and the story you develop about that first customer is what's going to carry you to the next. Businesses are, for lack of a better term, sometimes business owners are very conservative. They're looking for people who are reliable. And it's really hard to convey that digitally. People see me, they see me with my glasses and shaved head and ready to go and talk to you about bounce rate and talk to you about conversions and so forth. But when the camera is off or I'm away from Zoom, I'm literally in fact, I've been in a library now. This is, I think, year maybe 5 or 6 I've been at this library, basically. But I've been in incubators, and I'm literally sitting down with a notepad, sitting down with paper, sitting down with a whiteboard. I have a whiteboard and we can see this right here at the side, ready to go. And even after I get done with this, I have to talk to a student, to one of my PhD students. So there's a lot of things in your background that you need to do to train and develop yourself, and keep that going. And like I've been mentioning before, it is difficult to know when the right point is to come back and say, hey, I need to shift to something else. But pay attention to that. Make it a monthly. Kimberly brought up a really good point about journal. Make it, take time, audit where you are, and see, maybe I've been talking about linear regressions and playing with this small data. Maybe I need to be looking at Markov chains and kind of seeing what I can do with this and figuring out what I can do with that. Use your journal to guide you. One tip I'm also going to add as an extension of that idea too is look at tools like Evernote, or I think Notion's the other one as well too, but I like Evernote. Evernote's been around for a while. Evernote you use to save articles, save white papers, and they have a really good search lack for a better term, search engine within the software that will search within the document. So if you're trying to find a certain keyword, maybe for some sort of theory or some sort of concept, you have a nice little library of papers that you can go through and look very quickly, and that can save you some time as well too. Other things I can tell you, I hope I'm not running my mouth too much, everybody. So stop me, Kimberly, if I'm going too long. She's smiling. She's like, no, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll let you know when it's time to land the plane or park the bus or whatever.
Yes, I know. Okay, she teases me because I do a little bit of Clubhouse as well too. But I'm going to land my plane in a second. The other thing to keep in mind is that I mentioned about journals, mentioned about clients and customers. As you deal with people, find the things that can help you work with folks offline and online. Blend that together as best you can. You'll find yourself saving some time, some energy. Again, your offline should be helping you to network with people in between the times that you see them. A lot of times you're going to run into people you can't physically be around them all the time, but if you network correctly, that can save you some time and build some of your marketing as well too. So, and I am going to land my plane because I know I've also been talking quite a bit and running my mouth, but I will I will land, as they say in Clubhouse, I will land my plane here. So Kimberly, there you go.
Thank you, Pierre, and thank you for sharing those gems. We really appreciate it. Okay, so now we're going to take another little small break. When we come back, we're going to talk about LLC versus nonprofit. Okay, interesting.
Can I answer Natasha's questions, Kimberly?
Sure.
Okay, so sorry, I'm going to take just a quick second. So Natasha's question asked, thank you, Sia, for reposting it. How did you all figure out how much to charge for your services? Did you receive help via coaching, et cetera, et cetera? So real quick, this is how I started. I looked at how much I earned a year because I teach. So I teach 6 classes a year. It's really 5. It's really 5 classes because one class meets only once a week and I teach them twice. Okay, so I took how much I earned in that year. I had 5 classes. I divided by 5, my salary divided by 5. So let's say it's 125 divided by 5, that's 25K. So basically each class that I taught was basically 25K in my pocket, right? As far as salary is concerned. So each class is 16 weeks, right? So I did 25 divided by 16. That's basically how much I knew if a week's worth of work was about that amount. And I can't risk, $1,600 or something. So I started out there. If it was going to take me about a week to do something, it was going to be at least $1,600. And depending on the length of the projects, I multiplied that $1,600 by the length of the project. That's where I started. And then that's where the negotiations were when it came to business, right? When I do a project, that's how I started. And then I just I'd make up numbers depending on the company. If the company is on the NASDAQ, then I'm adding some zeros. I've got to be honest. Okay. I'm just like, oh, okay, I'm looking you up nonprofit and your nonprofit got $1 million in assets. I'm not going to be charging you $1,600. I'm charging you more. So I just want to answer that question real quick because I think it's an important one.
And I want to answer it by saying I charge whatever Dr. Marshall says to charge. No, seriously. So there was a conversation that was had a couple of months ago, and I was doing one thing with a number, and Dr. Marshall was like, "No, I think you could consider something." So literally, what Dr. Marshall said. So I suggest if you want to be a data entrepreneur, you want to follow. I think Dr. Marshall, you have two companies, right? You have Black Women in Data, and then you have Data
edX. Yeah.
So she got it's multiple streams of income.
Yes, I remember that conversation, Kim, because I was like, "What are you doing?"
So yeah, I was just like, whatever Dr. Marshall says, that's the number. Does anyone else want to chime in about compensation?
Yeah, I do. Because Natasha also mentioned business coaching. I wholeheartedly stand behind getting a business coach. I mentioned it earlier, like it's just a lot you don't know. Like I consider myself to be a smart person, but when I got into this business world, it was just like, it's just so many moving parts. And when you don't know what you don't know, something's going to get dropped. So Pierre mentioned like the back end, Brandeis mentioned, Dr. Marshall mentioned the back end stuff. Like those are things that you easily forget because you're just trying to make money. And so it's so easy to lose people when you're messy, you don't look organized, you're not following up. So like even simple things like having a CRM, a customer relationship, relationship manager, where you store your emails and things like that. Like I get compliments on like, "Oh, I really like the cadence of your emails. Like, I really like that." So they're like modeling my stuff. I'm like, that's fine, you can take it. But it's those little touches that most people you just don't think about when you just kind of get thrown into entrepreneurship and you don't have any guidance. So definitely find a business coach. They don't have to be in the data space because a business is a business. So I want to take away that it is nice to have, have a community of people. So I'm really glad I found y'all. It's really nice to have a community of people that's within your niche, but be able to get those guidance is key. A CRM is a customer relationship manager. You can just Google customer relationship manager, and that is how you email your people. That's how you communicate them. You store that information.
Oh, sorry. I was actually asking what is the actual name of the one that you use. I already know.
Oh, gotcha. I'm sorry. What CRM? I get it now. So somebody mentioned HubSpot. I use ActiveCampaign. That was just easier for me it was just easy for me. Everyone's going to have their own thing, but I don't even think there's a right or wrong answer to that one. HubSpot, you can get started for free. I think MailChimp, I don't know if people use that nowadays, but I know some people still use it. But if cost is a barrier, there are free, or very inexpensive things that you can do to get started, but everyone needs a CRM. And being that I am a data person, that is literally one of the tools that you have to be able to learn about your customers and store their information.
Okay, so with that, everyone, we're going to take another break. Again, we're all about boss moves and money and control. Someone mentioned the word control, so we got to go with Janet Jackson on that one. We're going to take a break, and we'll be back in a few. All right, everybody, we are back, I think. Okay, so the question that we left off with was LLC versus nonprofit. So this is kind of where I'm on a fence, right? I'm seriously on a fence. So I'll be looking to the folks here to give their suggestions, recommendations about which is the best way to go and why. So let's see. Kelly, you can go ahead and start that off if you made a decision already with that.
I'll start that off by saying I also have the question about whether LLC or nonprofit is the best. Hopefully I can break the ice a little bit, but yeah, so I have my kind of normal data consulting now that I have through an LLC. So that's been kind of pretty basic. Went on LegalZoom, got the documents, and I was up and running. But I'm also looking to do more kind of social impact data consulting. And so I'm looking to kind of support nonprofits, act as other kind of social organizations to more so just support tailored towards those kind of social impact projects and like developing products for community organizers and activists. So a lot of that, it might be pro bono, it might be actually paid. So as I'm personally wondering, again, should that be under nonprofit or should it be under the just the normal LLC? So I'm looking to hear from the panelists here.
I can start that because Kelly, it sounds like you're doing some of the same work that I'm doing, like you're supporting nonprofits and those that you align with. You're still providing a service to them, so you can still use your LLC. Because it's like you're aligning yourself with nonprofits that mean something to you. That's totally fine, but you're still performing a service, and that's fine. Like you don't have to, because forming a nonprofit is not like as quick as getting the LLC either. So unless you're ready to kind of do all that and do all the extra nuances, I think using your LLC is just fine and just servicing those that align with what you want to do.
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome. Thank you, Dr. Josey.
I think my question though, are there organizations that only want to work with nonprofit businesses though?
No.
They don't care?
No. Get your money. Sorry, this is entrepreneurship panel. Get your money. Don't do a nonprofit. Too many Black people are in nonprofits, and we ain't getting money. Get the money.
Got it.
The donate button. People don't be clicking that donate button.
Yeah.
A lot of big organizations have come and said, "Is Black Women in Data a nonprofit? If it is, we'll provide you with like some money." And I'd be like, "How much money?" And then they go silent on me.
Yeah, I would say
I'm for profit. Get me money.
I think
if you want to donate, sponsor someone to come to Black Women in Data Summit. Therefore, that's a service. Boom, done. Go ahead, give me the money. Because the nonprofit world, it's a lot of white people giving Black people money. That's what the nonprofit world. You got to beg to get the money.
And
that's what it is. Bingo. That's it. That's it.
And it may not be enough. There was an incubator I just found out a couple of weeks ago. I was grateful for them because they were part of the reason why I survived. But what was unfortunate was they had closed. Part of it was COVID, but the other part of it, to the topic, when people were donating and they were able to get money, it was might be for a year or 2 years. And for certain things that you're trying to do, that's like barely getting yourself going, basically. So I think if you do the nonprofit part, I think what you want to, if you choose to do that, I think you have to think long term about what it is that you're trying to get a grant for and why. And keep in mind that, some people, to what Dr. Marshall brought up, yeah, they're willing to give you some money, but it may not be enough to keep the doors open for long. And that unfortunately does happen.
And we need the last to get the money too. So
that part. And then if you if there is if there is a grant that you want to do and it needs to be a nonprofit, there are nonprofits that do sponsorships. That's part of nonprofit streams of income, is they'll serve as the nonprofit sponsor, so that they'll basically be the through organization for you.
So like a middleman.
Yeah. So they'll collect the money and then they'll funnel the money to you. Right. It's another step. Granted, you got to trust that nonprofit, to trust that their books are right and that they are actually a nonprofit, because if they don't have a 990 and get that stuff and all their ducks in a row and things like that, that money could be rescinded. But you don't have to be a nonprofit to work with nonprofits, because yes, as Michele said, you're providing a service, or two, if you're doing a grant that needs a nonprofit status, you can go through a nonprofit and give the nonprofit a certain cut of that money, and then you get the rest of that money as a for-profit LLC. You don't need to do all the machinations, because no, I looked at nonprofits quite a bit and I was like, I got to get a board. I got to fill out a 990 every year. I got to tell them how much I'm spending. I got to hold at least one board meeting a year. And then I gotta bow down to white people to get some money out of them. Listen, no, white people can't give me money. Yeah. Just give me money. I don't want them to get a tax write-off. Just give me the money.
Right.
And let me do what I want to do.
Dr. Marshall? It's called nonprofit. What was that called? Nonprofit sponsorship?
Yeah, it's like a sponsorship. I can't remember the formal name for it, but the nonprofits can serve as sponsors to like for-profit organizations. So any grants or things like that. Fiscal sponsor. Thank you, Rose. Fiscal sponsor. Thank you. I couldn't remember the proper name, but yeah, fiscal sponsor.
I want to find out I don't know if anyone's interested in talking about this, and I don't have any negative intentions by bringing this up, but I do think because we're talking about for-profit versus nonprofit, does anyone want to talk about the Black Girls Code situation in terms of profit? They were a nonprofit organization. She lost her organization. Okay, I'll tell you what, we don't have to go into too many details. I guess my real question is, had it been an LLC and not a nonprofit, would this situation exist? And
no.
who want to be nonprofit, how can they avoid a situation like that? How about we talk about it that way?
So that's the thing. Dr. Marshall made a good point. When you are a nonprofit, you have to have a board. And they always say, you know, because I remember going to some nonprofit like courses or little seminars with my friend that was interested in starting it. And it's like, you always try to choose a board. The course says, you know, diverse, but would that align with you? And honestly, like, I don't know, maybe because I'm Black, a little bit conspiracy theory in there. It's just like, it's been so many, because I've heard from so many Black entrepreneurs when certain, and I think it's more to do with capitalism. It's not just racism, it is capitalism. When they see a company doing great things, and maybe that company doesn't even recognize their value or their worth, someone else is going to come in and try to take it, buy it, or whatever. And so it happens all the time. So, you know, you got a Black company that's doing great things. White person sees it. Oh, let me align with you. Let me partner with you. And their intentions are not good. It's just like, well, I'm going to say what I got to say to take this. And that's what happens sometimes. So if you're a nonprofit, even if you try to do your best efforts of choosing a right board or, you know, people that align with you, that's your best defense. But you're not going to be immune from like a takeover.
A coup.
Pretty much.
Right. Because because she reports to the board.
Mm-hmm.
So when you create a nonprofit, your board is your boss. And people just don't say it that way.
Yeah, that's actually a real good way to put it. That's a real good way to put it. And for anyone that wants to know what I'm talking about, feel free to Google. There's a lot of different opinions out there about what happened with that. I just thought it was important to bring up a recent example of how someone built something on their own and how they're no longer over it. And if you want to know the details, feel free to Google. But I did want to share it with the panel to see if they had any thoughts. Pierre, it looks like you want to make a comment.
I think it's I'll admit I've heard a little bit about it, but I haven't followed the whole story. But I'll say this: I think the one thing you want to keep in mind, particularly if this is your first business or first nonprofit, really think about. I think it goes to talk about, you know, all the little things that are used to put that together. Ask yourself, you know, how strong are you in understanding how things can fall apart? Because I think in business or even nonprofits, really, when people are trying to take something from you, they're not going to announce themselves. There's no John Williams soundtrack. They're not, oh, this is Vader. They're going to take this, you know, stuff from me. They're going to use the Force. Oh my God. You know, there's no soundtrack to tell you that something is coming up. There's usually little bits and pieces, and it's usually from people who unfortunately understand how things come together. So, you know, it's great to have the dream, but if you are going to go after it, whether you're a nonprofit or LLC, understand what the pieces are that are required to come together. And I think once you do that, it won't help you win every fight, but you'll probably end up winning more fights than not, basically. So.
And then the last thing I want to say about this topic is your question, Kimberly, was about, you know, if it was a LLC, would this situation have happened? And I said no pretty quickly. Why I said no is because an LLC is for profit. So she would have had a more difficult time getting the grants and getting the traction that she received very quickly with what she was doing, right? She would have a harder time running the camps because she went inside of schools and things like that in order to get the space in order to run the camps. So an LLC, she would have had to pay, right? And so it would have been difficult that way. And then getting the grants would have been more difficult because she wasn't had a nonprofit status. So no, if she was a for-profit, then there would need to be a business model in order to generate income in order for her to be able to do the thing. So it would have taken a longer time, which then would have likely been a position where she would have been able to see some of that stuff coming, and instead of for the unfortunateness of what happened. I think I said that covert enough.
I want to make a note because Dr. Marshall just mentioned it, and I wanted to say to Kelly, just because you're not a nonprofit doesn't mean you can't apply for grants and funding. So there's tons of funding out there for for-profit business, especially when it's like trendy to be Black and a woman these days. There's tons of stuff out there for us right now. So definitely you can just Google some stuff and, you know, things will come up if you're not on like different lists that send you stuff. But take it. Yes, Hello Alice is one of them. I just sent my grant in for one of them recently, but you can still get funding. And I don't know if you're going to touch on this, Kimberly, but I'm just going to leave a little seed right here. Like startup funding, you know, for us is we always try to build things from the ground up with like our own money. A lot of time we take pride in it, but there is a such thing called like business credit. And like, this is what funding are in loans that you can use for yourself to get your leg up. So I'll just say that there, we may circle back to it, but there is money out there for LLCs. You do not have to be a nonprofit.
That's something I wish I knew like 5 years ago when I was doing business.
Thank you for sharing.
I learned that I think last year. I'm like, where was this when I had all these other businesses I was doing? I wouldn't even need to be working right now. And
that's the value of having business coaching. Because when you're on your own, maybe you don't know what you don't know.
Well, do you have recommendations of business coaches?
I do. So depending on what your thing is, if you want a general one, I recommend Traffic Sales and Profit with Lamar Tyler. You can just literally look them up on Facebook. They have a free Facebook group. They have a challenge coming up early next month. I'll drop the link to that as well to kind of get you thinking, because I did a couple of challenges before I actually joined like the paid version of it. But it just, your mind just starts to shift and change about what's possible for yourself. And because I know Natasha mentioned something about how much you charge. I'm like, the business coaching is so helpful because we have a tendency to undercharge because we don't see our value, or maybe we're scared to ask for certain things. So in my community, they will snatch you up. They're like, no, you need to charge enough. You need to double your rates. Because it's like, I mean, charging y'all, I'm gonna leave that for another day, but some of the stuff I was charging for, y'all would laugh in my face. But I thought I was doing something, but it wasn't today. Like, no, ma'am. No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
It's important to have that community around you to know when you're underselling yourself so they can kind of correct you. I remember I was going over with Sia pricing for workshop. I was sketching up. She was like, I hope that's not for the whole thing. I hope that's the per person charge. I'm like, oh, okay. Let me go back and this up. So thank you, Sia, for lovingly calling me out on that. I appreciate it.
Yeah, that charging thing is definitely important too, because the agency I had, I was scaling up fast, but my price also was definitely undercharging. So even if I wanted to delegate, it wouldn't have made any sense for me financially to delegate. So yeah.
I can attest to people undercharging, like even trying to have when I was having conversations with speakers for my conference, they were telling me their rates and I just was like, no, sis, I'm paying you this. They were just like, wait, what? For really? And I was just like, you're going to get a 1099. Like, I don't understand what the words you're telling me right now don't make sense. I had a whole like conversation with one that was like, you asking me, you want to do what for what? I was just like, no, sis, no, I'm not doing that. So there's a lot of people in this industry who are actually trying to pay you So definitely talk to somebody before you say the number, because you don't even understand your worth. Like, I'm gonna call out Sia right now. Like, Sia gave me her resume about a year ago, and she had all the things on it. And I was like, girl, take off half this, because you've given the company way too much information about how awesome you are. You need to hold some of that stuff back. And then she was like, what? And I was like, you can earn, you earn $75 to $100 an hour, right? You understand that, right? And she just was like, wait, no, nah. I was like, yes. I was like, do the numbers. And we literally went through the calculator. I was like, do the numbers. This is how much you're worth. Oh. And she just didn't believe. And I was just like, see, baby, stop. Stop. You are worth this. So I think we need to help that. We need to do that for each other in spaces like this, but also business coaching helps snatch the edges that are necessary to make sure that you are consistently charging what you need. Michele is like looking at her edges like, are they snatched? Are they snatched? You got to snatch edges, because we just don't charge what we should. I mean, if Robin DiAngelo chick is getting $30,000 to talk about white fragility, that's how much she getting. $30,000 to talk about white fragility. We have a whole data skills expertise, and we charging $1,000. What? Stop, y'all. And people say like, that's too expensive. Well, then I'm just too expensive for you, because I'm not giving away my IP for free. Like, then bye.
Yeah. I think that's like the importance of just scaling up slow and building your brand, not being in a rush. Because when you're in a rush, like I was in my younger age, you just take anything, like, oh, that's what you'll pay me. And then, but it's not going to be worth it when you have like this crazy workload and all your clients want to hear from you on a weekly, or they want to know like what's going on. It's just not going to be worth it. It's better to start small and charge high, and just do it.
I would add also too, don't beat yourself up if you don't get it right the first time. And I'll admit, from my area, the big challenge I had, particularly with web analytics, was that when I went to customers, they were used to web designers, okay? And I had to explain to them that, well, analytics is different. We add the tag, and we actually do the review the metrics to help you on your marketing. I mean, this was something for like the first 2 or 3 years. The problem I had was I had customers that were comparing me to web designers, and that's a challenge for everybody. When you first put your shingle up, you're going to have people making comparisons between what they know and what you value, and the challenge becomes, what they know probably is not as good as what you're offering in some instances too. So it becomes a challenge. I think for me, the big ones were, I would say don't do hourly. Try to minimize that if you can. If you want to tutor somebody really quick, maybe. But for something that are multiple steps, think about packages more than anything else. That not only helped, I think for me, it helped a little bit in working with some larger clients, and then also working with a few small clients that maybe couldn't quite afford a full thing, but I could here's a McNugget with a small Coke for you and a fry. These other people will get the full 20 McNuggets and so forth. But the biggest thing is, I think take away from the panel for anybody who's listening, definitely whatever you're going to launch off with probably won't be right at the beginning. Keep your ear open, educate yourself, see what people are comparing your products and services to. That's going to dictate how you, maybe not necessarily in pricing, but it may dictate in terms of how you explain it to the customer, so that way they understand what the pricing is. And I'm going to support Dr. Marshall on this too. If they don't understand it after you explain it, do not waste time with them. I'm not into like, oh, I'm going to beat you up or cuss you out and that type of thing, but at least I hope not. But there's just some people that your time is valuable. It's going to slow you down tremendously. It will knock you off your game a little bit, because you'll start feeling bad, like maybe I'm doing something wrong. None of that. Pricing is probably the biggest problem that people have. It takes refining to get it right. So there you go.
All right, Pierre. So I want to do a little something special at the end, everybody. Okay. But first, before we do that, and we're a little bit late with it, but I think it would be really cute to do a version of Data Professionals. I'd like to end the meeting with the Cuff It Challenge. A data version of the Cuff It Challenge. Oh, no, Dr. Josey, not the frowning face. So I'm gonna leave a little time for that. But before we get into our data version of the Cuff It Challenge, and if you please would take yourself off, put yourself on camera so we can put this on our social media. I think it'd be really cute to have a data version. But before we do that, I would just like for everyone, Pierre, you can feel free, one sentence, Pierre, okay? One, maybe two, your parting thoughts about being a data entrepreneur. Jahmar, I'm going to go around the screen that I see here. Jahmar, do you want to, before we get our Cuff It Challenge, y'all?
Yeah, so for me, I would just say to focus on specializing in whatever technical skills you want to start with, and then also learning how business works from sales to marketing to onboarding, pretty much everything that we said on here. But I would say specialize. Don't try to be a one-stop shop because it'll burn you out. And then, learn the business side of everything.
Fantastic. Thank you. Dr. Josey?
I would definitely say respect yourself as the expert. I think a lot of times especially the more you know, the more you realize you don't know, but you know more than the people that's hiring you. So honor yourself and respect yourself as the expert, but but also continue to be a lifelong learner so you can be the best at what you do.
Thank you, Dr. Marshall.
I would say slow down. Slow down. You don't got to do everything today, and start. Just start with the one client. If you got one client, just do the best you can do for that one client in your specialization. Don't try to tackle the world. Just one client at a time and build.
Thank you. Pierre. You're on mute. Yes, you only got 1 or 2 lines. We're going to have to land this plane.
Okay.
Quickly.
My one quick sentence is, take the time to educate yourself through networking with people, learn a lot from what everybody is doing. And I agree with what Dr. Marshall said. Also, take that, distill it, and use that to leverage your skills as best as possible. And I think you'll enjoy the time that you learn as well as building a business.
Kelly, I think you got the last, well, I'll have the last word, but Kelly.
Okay. Yeah, definitely, again, don't try to do any of this in a vacuum or on your own. Definitely surround yourself with a community of people who will validate you, affirm you, and also teach you and inspire you as you go throughout your entrepreneurial journey. And entrepreneur spirit is applicable anywhere, even in your regular 9 to 5. That just sense of identifying a problem, being able to solve it, is even more important now in this current landscape than it ever was. So that's my one piece.
And I think what I would leave with is just start. Take the first step. Just take the first step. So whether that's get a website, whether that's start a blog, whether that's get your LLC, just take the first step. The first step is the hardest step of all. At least it was for me.
Yep.
So whatever that first step looks like for you, just take it. And then the next step. And then the next step.